the nightmares that men go through. Absolute nightmares. I had a friend visit me last night, and I've known him for years. Over 20 years I've known him. And he finally came around to telling me a story about his relationship with his first wife and the absolute nightmare that it was. Now, please understand, if you're a wonderful woman watching this, this is not about you. And you're not going to get anything from watching this, so you might as well watch something else. This video is for men. A warning. A warning to men. A warning that men are not really given. They're not. Boys, young men, older men, they're not told, they're not prepared for the kind of hell that they might be signing up for by simply bringing a woman into their home or going into a home together with a woman. Men are not prepared. Men are not prepared. In the last few years, I've heard from so many friends of mine who are opening up to me about what they've been through. And I'm just shocked. You know, men don't go around gossiping and saying bad things about other people. That's not a thing that men do. But I'm not a small talk kind of a person, and I've become less so as I've grown older, and perhaps that's why when I've had these encounters with my friends, we've gone into deeper conversations, and they've opened up to me in a manner that really makes me feel honored that they trust me enough to do that. And let me tell you this story. I'm going to omit any details, so you won't really be able to identify anything about the person. Let me just skip ahead. A couple comes together, gets married, has a kid. Just to give you a sense for the dynamic. He's coming home from work. By this point, he's taken on 3 jobs, and he's paying for everything. She's not working, and they've had a child, and he's already discovered that she's been stealing money that he has set aside for a rainy day. As his car is pulling up to the driveway, her car is leaving the driveway. In other words, she was looking out the window, seeing that he was coming, and she got ready and left, leaving the kid inside in the house. And the kid is looking out the window, wondering, where's mom going? Why is mom leaving? And then shortly after, he pulls in and finds this little child, 1-year-old, with a diaper that's saturated in urine and feces. Like overflowing. And of course, this man is an incredibly sweet man. And he would take care of. So after he's grinding away at work, weekends as well, weekdays and weekends. He's coming home, the woman bolts, and he has to kind of rescue this child and try to clean him up and take care of him, give him food. She's stealing his money, burning it off on who knows what. He later discovers she's doing drugs and having an affair. And if he ever would bring anything up, she would explode at him and accuse him of X, Y, and Z and how dare you and all this sort of thing. And if he ever dared to break up, she would threaten to kill herself. There's a lot more detail to this story. There's a lot more detail to this hellscape that he had to endure and go through. I'm not going to subject you to that, but I think I've painted kind of a picture of the kind of person that this is that he was with. An absolute inversion of him as a person. You'll never, this is, of all the people I've met, he's one of the most giving people I've ever met. Very generous with his time, with his talent, with his money, with his resources. He's a giver. Now, if you want to understand more about givers and takers, watch the video I just posted. It's kind of interesting that he came to me with this story last night, and I just got done posting that video about givers and takers. And the number of times I've heard about stories just like this. Something also that I myself have had to live through and experience as well. It shows me that men are not prepared. They're not taught how to discern the red flags. And I've given up on the idea that a man would even be able to detect the red flags, because men are so easy to manipulate when the manipulator is a woman that he is attracted to. If a man is attracted to a woman and she makes moves on him and strokes his ego and makes him feel like she really likes him, and his it doesn't matter how much IQ he has, all those IQ points just they fall off, and he becomes this dumb person. I realize that this is kind of insulting to say this to men, but I'll say it about myself as well. You know, one of the reasons I grow this beard is because it's like a shield. It protects me from these women. It's my Achilles heel, and I don't think I'm unique. I think this is the Achilles heel for most men. If an attractive woman comes to him and gives him signals that she really likes him and a man is gonna melt in her hands. She'll be able to control him. And the ability to discern, to see, to discriminate, your intelligence, all that it just goes away. It just melts away. So there's no use in teaching men about red flags. There's no use. It's not going to work. But what I have realized is you can teach men to look for the one green flag. There's only one green flag that you need to find in a woman. And if you find this in the woman, chances are she's not one of these crazy psychos. And that green flag is the green flag of responsibility. What does that look like? Well, that means if you're ever considering even just dating a woman, even just going out on a date, because remember, you as a man, you put yourself at tremendous risk of losing your mind if you go on a date with a woman you're attracted to and she ends up reciprocating, you'll go crazy. You'll lose your ability to identify things. So it's a risk. So before you go on a date, and I realize you may have to go on a date in order to get this information, but if you can beforehand, just through text exchanges, it would be best. What does a responsible woman look like? She lives on her own. She earns her own money in a manner that is not illegal or untasteful. She makes an honorable living, in other words. She pays her own bills with that money. She's not in debt. She didn't get to where she is because she took money from a previous relationship, from a previous man, from her mom and dad, or she's getting handouts from the government. In other words, she is completely standing on her own 2 feet. That's it. If you can find a woman that is completely standing on her own 2 feet, and she got there out of her own volition, not through handouts, not through gifts, not through debt, not through divorces, right? That's the only green flag. That will give you at least 70%, 70 to 80% likelihood that she's not psychotic. And that's a good place to start. Men need to be warned about this. Please, men of the world, listen. There are women out there who are entirely predatory. They are almost evolutionarily selected to be nothing but predatory. And men, unfortunately, have not been evolutionarily trained to be able to discern the difference. They can't. We can't. We can't discern the difference. And unfortunately, because of what I said in my last video about opposites attracting, these crazy, crazy psychotic women end up with some of the nicest, most caring men who have done nothing to deserve this. It is a profound, universal injustice. I've heard so many stories, and I may elaborate. I may start like a whole series on hellscapes that men have gone through on this channel. So, if you enjoy hearing more of these campfire horror stories, then like this video, subscribe, and I will have more. I will have more to share. If you know any guys out there who have been through stuff like this, mention it in the comments. Men need to be warned. Boys need to be warned. Don't look for the red flags. Don't teach people about red flags. It's not going to help. The green flag of responsibility is the only one you need to look for. Find a woman who is responsible, who has made her money and paid her bills ethically, legally, without using other people, without using the family court system, without using loans and debts. Find a woman who lives on her own, stands on her own 2 feet, takes responsibility for her life, isn't collecting money from strangers online because of the things she posts on Instagram. Find a woman. like this. Chances are she's a good woman. And you're not going to end up trapped in hell like my friend. Thanks for watching.